How's it going, everyone? This is Renee with Neptune Cigars, and we're here at PCA 2025 in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm here with Mr. Steve Saka himself in the Dunbarton booth.
Woo!
Steve, how are you?
Good morning, Renee. How are you?
Very good morning to you as well. I'm great. It's the third day.
Yeah.
You know, starting to run on fumes a bit, but I'm sure you are as well.
Oh, no, you're running. The thing about the trade show is, no matter, you know the date a year in advance, and I'm still late on everything. It's like, it's a mad dash to get here. You get here and you got to do the setup because we're too small a company, so there's like no minions. So you really have to do all the work yourself. And then you have 3 crazy days of you dancing like a chimpanzee, talking to everybody. And you know what your reward is if you do well at the show? More work, right?
Yeah.
So you're hoping you do great, but actually what the reward is, you go home to a shit ton of work. So yeah, it's a grind. There's no doubt about it.
So I've noticed something. This is now a few years in that we get to talk to you, but this is a different setup here. It's not the couch.
How official does this look?
It's nice. Feels like an upgrade a bit, but you know,
boss, right?
couch is comfy too, though. Why'd you get rid of it?
That's the problem. So I never watch any of the PCA interviews I do or listen to the podcast because I'm very self-conscious. And I say a lot of stupid shit, and I know if I watched it, I might start saying stupid shit, which then it just isn't who I am. But I had one last year on day 3 that I was like really, I think I was a bottle and a half in on Lagavulin. So I said some extra stupid stuff. So I went back to like watch it to see how bad what I said was. And it turned out it wasn't that bad, but what I noticed was I had my foot up on the coffee table, right? And I'm leaning back on the sofa and I'm all like super fat, and in my fucking crotch was in the center of the frame,
focus.
Right? So it's like this 40-minute interview of me being dick first, right? I'm like, dude, what? And I'm like, nobody say anything to me. So then I'm like, I think I sit like that all the time. So then I looked at another one, and I looked at another one. Like literally, I have like 18 interviews from last year where I'm balls forward in them.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it now for like 9 years. So it's like literally, there's like probably 200 videos of me, doing like, and no one ever says anything. I said, damn it. I'm sitting behind a desk this year, man. So that way, I keep the boys underneath the table.
People are very well acquainted with your crotch by now.
But you would think somebody somewhere along the way, Saka, lean a little forward, sit a little straighter. Put your knees together, man. Have a little bit of dignity. No one ever said anything to me.
You're the boss.
So yeah, so balls beneath the table this year, courtesy of the desk. And I actually like the desk too because it gives me a place to have all the crap.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it actually works out way better.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works better for you guys doing the videos and putting your camera and all that. It's a little bit more confining, but it actually is more functional.
Yeah. Cool. So, like I was saying, we're wrapping up almost the show this year. So, how was it for you guys this time in Dunbarton?
Well, Mr. Lafferty told me we beat last year's number, the total show number yesterday. So I guess we're in the green. I guess it's good.
Yeah.
Look, it's day 3. We probably won't write much business today. I mean, one of the things about the trade show, when you're like the young new company, you are the day 3, day 4 company. We don't have day 4 anymore. And as you do better, you then become a day 2 company, and then eventually you become a day 1 company. That day 1's your best day, day 2 is your next best day, and then the last day, because the retailers then go out and look for new things they don't have, some of their smaller brands. So over the 10 years, we've progressed from being a day 4 maybe company, and now we're a day 1, 2 company. So yeah, it's been a good trade show.
Excellent.
So I'm imagining our day 3 numbers are going to be lower than our day 3 numbers have been in past years, but we beat the total number yesterday.
Yeah.
And maybe he's lying to me and just trying to make me feel good, so I don't really know. I haven't actually seen, so maybe he's just trying to keep my spirits high. And he's going to go, hey, boss, no, actually, it sucked, man.
We didn't want to break it to you.
I don't know. We'll see. But that's what I'm being told. So.
And how do you feel about New Orleans?
I'm okay with New Orleans. I mean, I got to say, the weather's been glorious. I mean, anybody that says, oh, I don't want to go to New Orleans because it's just hot and sweaty and the smell is bad. It's the first time I've ever been to the city and it doesn't smell bad. It really doesn't. The weather's been perfect. As anyone, the food is just so incredible. I forgot how incredible the food was. Because look, the food's incredible in Vegas, but here everything is incredible and everything is cheap.
Yeah.
Even like the fancy places, like you eat this fancy meal at a fancy place here, you got 6 people, it's $500. That same meal in Vegas is like $2,000, right? So the food is stupid good. And on top of that, and like if you're in Vegas, you can't even get bad food for like $60 a head,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We had 8 people out the other night at a chicken place, and I think the total bill was like $120 for like 8 people, and we were all like, "Oh my God, this chicken's so good!" You know?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so for food, this is fantastic. I think it's the same. I don't know the numbers because all I know is what's in my little 20 by 50 spot here. So we have no less appointments. We actually have more appointments than we had last year. So for me, traffic is up. You guys are out circulating the floor, so you have actually a better sense as to how the show is attended. Because all I have is just my view from this chair. I mean, I basically have enough time, if I'm lucky, to go through the door and hit the head, like maybe once a day. I don't know.
God.
So, yeah, they got me ankle chained down here. So, but yeah, it feels good. The vibe feels good. But I think it all depends on where you are. Like we've been very blessed. We're doing well as a company. So when we're doing well, that means our purveyors are doing well. So they're happy to see us.
Yeah.
So we're not having the conversation, well, it didn't really selling that well. I really, we're not having those conversations. But I know that there are a lot of people in the building that are having those conversations because that's just the way business is. So for us, it's been good.
Yeah.
Would I have rather stayed in Vegas? Yes, it was more convenient. Shipping everything out here, pain in the ass, extra expense.
Yeah.
Dealing with all new convention service people, it's another learning curve. I'm gonna just say it. The labor here, we got very unlucky. So normally we have a very simple booth. It's some pop-up walls, some heavy furniture. So in Vegas, we get like 2 guys, and they do it all in about 2 hours. Here, it took 6 hours, 5 guys to do the same thing that 2 guys in Vegas did in 2 hours.
Holy cow.
So there's a little bit too much milk gravy in the veins here for me. It was a little painful watching them like do the setup. Yeah. In fact, if immigration wasn't the way it is right now, I would be importing Nicaraguans next year, but I can't get them visas right now because I was livid Thursday watching how slow they were, because they were slow.
Yeah, and the whole shipping thing, you're right about that, because I know some people were saying, oh, West Coast versus East Coast, that could affect a lot of manufacturers and how they come to the show and store their stuff.
Look, honestly, it's Passover, so I understand why the retailers of the Jewish faith, that was terrible. I mean, it's kind of like schedule for me, scheduling on Christmas. So I get Passover, you can't come to the trade show. Luckily, there won't be that next year. I actually don't understand retailers not coming to the trade show. I actually find it insulting.
Yeah.
Okay? Even if you don't come to buy, keep your checkbook in your pocket. You should come to look. You should come to talk to other people, to interact.
Network.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I personally think it's an invaluable resource. No, yeah, if you come out here and you just think, oh, it's just I'm coming here for the deal, well, yeah, you get the deal back in your shop. There's no reason for you to leave your store.
Yeah.
But you're missing the point of the value of the trade show.
The connection.
Right, because you look, and if you can learn a lot talking to your peers. You can learn a lot talking to the manufacturers. It's nice to see the new product rather than a render or a photo, seeing it in person, right? It makes a big difference. When somebody asks me about something, I'm not giving them the exact description that I'm giving them when we do the write-up, you know what I mean? You can pick up a lot about how to sell something, how to introduce it to your customer. There's a brand that you don't do particularly well with, and you're in a conversation with a retailer over a drink. Oh no, that does great in our shop. How do you do great with it in your shop? What is it like? Oh well, these 3 sizes and this is how we sell it. I think that if you're in the business, it's just part of your
crucial.
job
Yeah.
to come. Even if you don't buy anything, you don't have to go, oh, I just can't afford to buy whatever, 20 extra thousand, 100,000, 400,000, whatever your number is for your scale. Well, don't.
Yeah.
But still come around and walk and look and talk. I mean, I don't know. I don't like retailers that aren't willing to take the time. I don't think 3 days, 4 days a year is too much for you to actually come and interact in the industry that you're supporting. I don't have a lot of patience for those retailers, to be honest with you. And I'm sure it's going to piss some people off, and they're going to say me, well, yeah, dude, come. I mean,
not to mention there's smaller
it's
retailers.
Like me saying, well, I don't like to go to the factory. I don't like to go to Nicaragua. Guess what? I go to Nicaragua 11 times a year because it's my job. You know what I mean? It's my job. I go 11 times a year.
Yeah.
I mean, so, yeah, I don't think it's too much to ask retailers to come to a trade show.
No, there's people that are dying to come here just anyway, whether it's the general public or smaller retailers, manufacturers, you know, maybe they can't afford it, or they're just not part of the industry. But yeah, this is a very nice setting where, like you were saying, it's all about connections and networking and just, you know, seeing things in person. There's nothing like something like a tangible product.
All right. Plus you get to see me smile in person.
And your crotch.
And my crotch.
You like jazz, Steve?
I like music, but I'm tone deaf. So I'm not actually I kind of like it in the background. There's some things, but yeah, I'm not good with music. I'm really not. Yeah, I can't sing Happy Birthday.
You can't?
I cannot. Well, I can.
You know the words, but you got
no. Not singing. Yeah. So I mean, I don't dislike jazz, but I don't really like it either.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so let's talk about some products. What do you got for 2025?
Everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah? Well, let's start with everything.
So we have Sober Mesa Salida Red. We just started shipping it a month ago. It's one of my favorite sizes in the original Sober Mesa was the Cervantes Fino. It's a great blend. It just never sold really well. Look, it's a Lonsdale, and it just was never super popular, even though it was one of the best.
Yeah.
So eventually I discontinued because the retailer's only going to give you so much space, so I don't want them taking the one that's the slower seller. And but we had tremendous success with Sober Mesa Brulee Blue, which is also a Lonsdale with a baby blue band on it that's $17.
Yeah.
I think it was the fact that the Brulee Blue, because of it being packaged slightly different, it kind of called out, that made a consumer pick it up to try and go, oh wow, this is really great.
Yeah.
So really, the Salida Red is the Cervantes Fino, just tweaked a little bit to be slightly stronger than it used to be, aged a year, red band on it, and the cigar that retailers couldn't sell, 7 years ago
All
and
of
didn't
a
want to
sudden.
stock. Now I'm back ordered 8,000 boxes on it. It's crazy, man.
At my store, we got, because we have 3 stores, but in my particular store, I think we got 2 boxes. I didn't even get to try it.
Yeah.
I was off one day, I come back in and it's
Now,
gone.
I will say this. So just last month, month before, was the first time in the 3 years since we introduced Blue that I actually caught up where I actually had cigars in the warehouse at the end of the month. Not a lot, but a couple hundred boxes. The problem is the lead time. If it's got a year of age, that means that it has to be basically 16 months that I have to pull the decision on what we're going to produce that's ultimately going to end up in a box to be shipped to the retailer. So it's very hard to gauge how many you should make because I'm always 16 months behind the curve. And it isn't like, oh, I made too many Nikkei Rita Ancho Largos. All right, I slow production on it. It's a Toro and one of our core selling brands. This is a $17 Lonsdale with a baby blue band on it, okay? You guys are on that side. This shouldn't sell. You know it shouldn't sell, right? It's DOA. So, but because of my experience with Sober Mesa Brulee Blue, out of the gate, I started making an awful lot more reds. So I think that probably for the next maybe 12 months, it's going to be an inventory problem. But there's going to be a lot more of reds available because I started off much larger because now I kind of have a sense as to, this actually does work. There is a consumer for it. And so even though right now I'm in back order, we just got 2,000 boxes in on Thursday, but they're already committed. So if you have a back order, you're going to see some next week whenever they ship it to you. So excellent. I think we're going to be much better at the flow on the reds than we were on the blues. And I also think on the blues, because I'm now finally caught up and I know what the right number is to make, I think the flow on the blues is also going to get much better. I hope so.
Nice.
We'll see.
Any other ideas for Vitolas on this one, or are you going to keep it at the...
No, that's it.
That's
Look,
it?
Solida's a very fleshed out line. There's no, it's got plenty of SKUs in it now. I think that's probably it, but never say never. You know, maybe on Thursday I'll change my mind, but I like the way Sober Mesa is. You know, with the Solida and the Brulee, and then you got the Special Blue and the Wagashi.
I was about to say the Wagashi.
Red.
Yeah.
I think it's a very nice portfolio as is. I don't think it needs something more, personally.
I'd love for you to elaborate on the Wagashi, because I remember last year a buddy of mine had a wedding. I think it was in May.
Okay.
And, you know, he said, bring cigars, right? So I picked out like kind of a custom cigar for everyone, what I thought they would like.
Right.
And then I got to myself and I go, what am I going to smoke? And I had a Wagashi that and at that moment I'd never even smoked one.
All right.
And I said, you know what, let me just take this,
Okay.
right? So it ended up being the best companion on that afternoon, because we smoked them at like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. And it was just amazing. You know, I drank it with some rum and I was in heaven. So tell me, what's that cigar about?
So the Brulee Blue, so the people that love regular Sober Mesa Brulees, the Toros and the Robustos, the ones that really love the brand, they actually prefer the regular core more than they prefer the blue. Okay? The people that really love the blue are the people that normally smoke heavier, darker cigars, and they want something that's that occasional mild Connecticut shade. So the blue blend is really made not for the Brulee guys. It's really made for those smokers that typically smoke on the heavier side that want that mild cigar. Whereas Wagashi was a blend that was made for the step-up cigar for the guys that do really like Brulee Toros and Brulee Robustos.
Yeah.
So the Wagashi is a very different smoking experience, in my opinion, than smoking the blue.
Yeah.
And you will find, if you talk, almost always, the guys that really like mild Connecticut shade style creamy cigars, you ask them which is the best, they're going to tell you they're Wagashi.
Yeah.
Okay, for the guys that don't normally smoke that stuff, they're going to tell you the blue is the best one. So they're really, they're different approaches. So they're really meant for like two different type of consumer.
Okay.
You know?
I do love me a good full-bodied smoke, but the Wagashi was just refreshing. I don't know if it was like the rum, it was almost like a caramel note in there. So yeah, like I was saying, it was a hot day in May, but it was just, I don't know, it was really nice. And
good. I'm glad
that's a
you enjoyed it.
special cigar, I would say. Cool. So anything else for this year? What is
So we're adding our first 6x60 in Nikkei Rita. It's the Gorilla Gorda. We've never had a 60 ring gauge in the line.
Yeah.
We have the 64, the Grand Buffalo, but it's a little big.
Yeah.
One of the most popular SKUs in Nikkei Rita was Muy Gordo Grande. We sold a lot of it. But I was at a store and I'm kind of looking on the shelf. It looks too close to the 52. So it's like too big for the guys that want to smoke 52s and under. And it's too small for the guys that want to smoke 60s and up. So I was kind of like, you know, this doesn't actually make sense. Even though it's one of our best sellers, it'd probably be better if I did it in a 60 ring gauge. And one of the reasons why I don't make 60s is because I don't really smoke them. And part of it has to do with this. I do this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I never take a cigar out of my mouth. I'm working, I'm doing my thing, blah, blah, blah. And when I have like a big Gordo in my mouth, I feel like a gay porn star. It's like a jawbreaker kind of thing going on. So what I did is I put like a 109 style bullet head on it.
Yeah.
So you get the 60 ring gauge cigar, but also it has what I would call a better mouth feel, because basically when you cut it, clip it, you can decide how big you want the ring gauge to be when you have it in your mouth. So we're launching that. We added a new sister companion blend to red meat lovers. Basically, this is a spicier, you know, more peppery, a little bit more bitey version of the red meat lovers called Furtonga. And for the consumers, they can tell the difference because these have gold lettering instead of white lettering. Okay, so we're just going to start in this blend in one size, see how it does with consumers. You know, so if you smoke the red meat lovers and you liked it, but you just wish it was a little more, the Furtonga will probably work out for you. So we have Year of the Duque this year. How do I say this delicately? Why? So Davidoff started doing the Chinese New Year lunar calendar, and I think they've gone full circle around, right? I think we're in the 13th, right? They're back. They
I
started with a
believe
snake,
so.
and
They're back at the
snake.
snake.
So they've
Yeah.
gone the full circle, and that always made a lot of sense to me because Davidoff has always been widely distributed and placed in Asia,
Yeah.
and it made a lot of sense. But we're in an industry of like Dumb and Dumber, so whenever anybody does anything successful, other companies copy it.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
So we got to the point that we're not at the point that I think there's like 82 companies that have the year of the whatever, right? It's like kind of crazy.
It's a trend.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean it's like it's a little absurd. And there's also like last year it generated lawsuits, right? Over the like. I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an IP guy, but I'm not quite sure how you win a lawsuit based on the Chinese lunar calendar. It's been around for a little bit of time. I don't think anyone owns that. But that conversation aside, I'm greedy. So I want how do I get in on this easy money? Because look, it comes in a perfect time of year. Q1 sucks, right? So here you have this product that you're dropping in February, right? And but I don't know, to just do a year of the snake, I would have just been guy number 87, right? It just didn't feel very. Another thing too is like, I got nothing against the Chinese, but I got no reason to celebrate the Lunar New Year, right? That doesn't even make sense to me, right?
Yeah.
So it would be just it was just. So I decided that I came with this idea that I wanted to do the year of something. I'm just gonna make up shit.
Year of
right?
Saka.
I'm gonna. It's really kind of an elaborate troll if you think about it, right? It kind of is. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to do the first one honoring Chris Duque. Chris Duque, for those of you that don't know, is really active on social media. He's a Hawaiian. He's friends with everybody. He's beloved. He's been posting and sharing pictures, and he's a huge Dunbarton customer and fan. I mean, everybody thinks he's on the payroll, but he actually isn't. He comes to our booth every year and works. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do the year of the Duque.
Wow.
Why not? Why can't it be the year of the Duque? And I did it kind of as a troll, but I also did it as a way to pay tribute to Chris, right? And I said, hey, Chris, what are some of your favorite cigars that we make? He said, Sober Mesa Short Churchill and Todos Los Dias. I said, okay, I'll make a blend that's a mix, a hybridization of the two. And I said, what size you like to smoke? Oh, I like to smoke kind of like that half Corona. So it's a 4 7/8 by 40. Chris hasn't actually smoked one yet.
No?
He hasn't tried it, no. He's going to get his first one when the show's over. Look, these literally came in the country on Thursday.
Wow.
The box you see on the table, I paid like $400 to get this thing overnight at 9 a.m. delivery on Saturday. Yeah, crazy. But
how did he react to the news though? Like when you told him you're doing this?
How would you react?
It would be awkward, I think. I would be humbled and happy, but also be like, what? Like you said, it was a troll almost. It's like, why me?
But it's also a tribute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of a double dip.
Yeah.
It's as much, it's probably become more of a tribute, because when I was originally thinking of the idea, I thought it was going to be the year of the toaster.
Yeah.
Okay? I thought it was going to be the year of pepperoni. I was like really going to go like that way with it, because I was going to go hard troll. And then I started thinking about it, maybe I can do something good with this, right? So I ended up going with the year of the Duque. And the reason why I want to talk about it now, it's all gone. It's just going to start hitting the retail shops, but we're going to do it again next year.
Okay.
I already know who it is. The blends are already done, but I want to wait, to announce it towards the tail end of the year. But we're asking so here's the thing. I only made 2,000 boxes because it's the year of the Duque. What is the average retailer going to think of this? What do you do with this? It doesn't even make any sense. So I knew that we would have 15, 20 accounts that are like social media active, that know who Chris is, boom, boom, boom. There's a wide group of consumers out there, but when we say wide group, I mean the real hardcore cigar geeks, there's only so many of them. So I thought 2,000 was like kind of a risk. It's not a cheap cigar. I mean, the packaging is just as pretty as all the other year of, so it's really fancy. So I made 2,000, and we sent out the email at 9 a.m., and by 11, we were beyond sold out. Yeah, I was actually surprised by the retailer response to it. In fact, there were like 60 accounts that tried to place an order after, even though we told them we don't have any more, that got zero. Of the people that got in before 11, before we put out the stop ordering it, we don't have it, that almost everybody, like, I have a retailer that ordered 350 boxes and he's getting 75. to try to share the wealth. I had no idea that this was going to be so popular. I don't know if it's because it's Dunbarton. I don't know if it's because of Chris. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the retailers have a lot of faith in this. I hope they're right. You know what I mean? But so
maybe you'll make more than 2,000
So
next
the
time.
reason we're showing it here is we're basically saying we're not asking anyone to place an order because I'm not willing to tell everybody what it is yet or what it's going to cost. But are you interested? If you're interested, how many boxes do you think you'll be interested in? Because I can plan better. Because the problem with it's not just leaving the money on the table. The real problem is upsetting your good accounts. You know what I mean? What do you mean I can't have it?
Yeah.
I've been doing business with you for 8 years. Dude, you sent the email at 9 a.m. The Hawaiians, they didn't get any because it was sold out by the time it was 5 a.m. their time when it sold out.
Right.
Like when I sent the email out to sell it, at the bottom of the email says, and whatever we have left, we'll take to the PCA in 6 weeks. I mean, that was where my head was at.
Wow, yeah.
Right? I thought, we'll sell 800, 900 boxes. I totally blown away. So we're basically just saying to our accounts, hey, is this something you're interested in? It's going to be very similar. It's the same basic concept, but it's going to be a different year, different blends, just to gauge some interest, and then I can plan around it. So we got that. We're making this essential sampler. It's just our 7 core blends, a Toro in each, 6x52, the most popular consumed size in retail stores. If you've never smoked any Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, and you kind of want to know what the company's about, here's a nice, easy, compact sampler that just gives you one of each one. And look, we have a very diverse range of cigars. It's a big world of difference between a Sober Mesa Brulee and a Mike Rita Tricky Troc, and there's a Stillwell in there that's one of our pipe tobacco blends. So it's but it's a good way, if you don't know anything about Dunbarton, here's a simple, easy way for you to try Dunbarton. And then we also have this. This is the deep cut sampler. The deep cut sampler actually serves 2 purposes. The first purpose was, I always get asked, what are my favorite cigars? What do you think is the best? What do you smoke?
Sure.
So this is a sampler that contains the 10 cigars that I personally smoke out of our portfolio the most often. And it's a mix of the Bronzeback from last year, new cigar. Love the Bronzeback. It's what, a $9 cigar, I think?
Yeah. Just about.
My favorite Sin Compromiso is Paladin de Saka. It's a $29 cigar. So I got a $9 cigar in a sampler, I got a $29 cigar. Muester de Saka. Nakatamale was the second one we made. Since then, we made the Lancero, we made the Bewitched, we made the Krakatoa, we made the Unstolen Valor, but the one I smoke the most of is Nakatamale. That's the one that I like the best.
That's my favorite one,
So
too.
it's a combination of core and limited, and even stuff we're back ordered on, but this is, when you say, hey, Saka, what do you smoke? There you go. That's what I smoke. And then I added a little bit of a cherry in there. I added a preview of a cigar that we're going to release next year, the Sin Compromiso Gorda Saka.
Right.
I'm using some tobaccos I had used before, so had some small pilot crop, and I finally finalized the blend. And when I got to the end of the rainbow, I basically have enough of that particular filler material to make roughly 5,000, maybe 6,000 cigars. They're actually working on it now. I'll know the final number by the end of next week. Well, I'll know the final number that made it into cool rooms, and I'll probably have to knock 5 or 6% off it because we're going to lose some when we do the color sort. But what do I do with this? I can't keep the tobacco for next year because now the tobacco will be aged an extra year. So it won't taste like the Gorda Sakas that we're supposed to make. I can't put it in a 10-count box because that would mean each of our account would get like 1.2 boxes. That doesn't make any sense. I can't make the cigars and age them for the same reason I can't keep the tobacco, because those 6,000 rough cigars won't taste the same as the 6,000 cigars from next year. I could put it in a 10-count box and sell it to one retailer as an exclusive, right? Maybe get 500-600 boxes, but if I didn't give it to Neptune, right, and I gave it to somebody else, how are you going to feel that guy got to sell? It's not like it's an exclusive that's a separate name. It's a Sin Compromiso.
Yeah.
So you would be really pissed, rightfully so. So it's kind of like, what can I do with this and not waste this tobacco? So I decided to add it as a little bit of a bonus carrot in the deep cut box.
Yeah.
Now, this is a little risky. If people don't like it, I've ruined my release for next year, right? You're like, oh man, I tried that Gorda Saka and it sucked, and it's gonna totally kill me next year. But I have faith in it. So if you're interested in that, that's a way to try that. It's a great sample. And the other thing too is like, if you're like a relatively new smoker and you're like still like, if you're like in those first few years, essential sampler. But like if you're a hardcore, you've been smoking 10, 15, 20 years, and you're curious about Dunbarton, I would skip the essential and I would go right to the deep cut, because I really think this is a reflection of our absolute best, in my opinion. And honestly, I don't know if we're going to do this in the future, but these 10 cigars will change. I guarantee you, 3 years from now, maybe 2 or 3 of them won't be in the box anymore, because they won't be what I'm smoking the most of, right? Because look, I wasn't smoking the most of Bronzeback. I wasn't smoking the most of Fratanga, because those are relatively, now for me, Fratanga's new to you, but Fratanga for me was done a year ago. So I've been smoking Fratanga for a year. You know, Bronzeback was new last trade show, but I was smoking Bronzeback almost a year before that. So Bronzeback for me has been around 2 years. Fratanga's been around for a year. You know, Solito Red's been around forever. You know, so but yeah, it's an interesting sampler.
Everyone's palate is a roller coaster, you know. It goes through phases.
Look at oh, here, we got this too. You guys got enough time, man. This is crazy long. You sure?
They're always long.
Wow.
I feel like we're only halfway.
It's our 10th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know. We did our first trade show here in New Orleans. We were in a booth that was so far that way that I went to go see where our booth was, because literally it felt like you were like a Bhutan death march to get to our booth. Where our booth was doesn't even exist anymore. Okay, it's literally beyond the end wall of this. That's how far away it was. The trade show was even longer 10 years ago. We had a little tiny booth. We had some pop-up furniture. We had a vinyl banner, you know, like you have outside of a deli that tells you the roast beef is on sale. That was our display, and that was our first trade show when we launched Sober Mesa. And
incredible.
So when you do an anniversary cigar, traditionally, you almost always go with a fan favorite, because you know it's a winner. So for me, making a variation of Nikkei Rita Black would be a smart play. Me making a variation of Sin Compromiso would be a smart play. But, you know, I started thinking about it. When I started Dunbarton and everybody came to the trade show, everybody expected our first cigar to basically be Liga Privada 2.0.
Okay.
That's what every retailer was like, that's what he's going to do, because that's what I was known for. And I didn't. I made this medium-bodied, balanced, elegant, nuanced, refined cigar, right? And it's like, it was just totally out of left field. And honestly, it's worked out, because Sober Mesa continues for us to grow as a brand. But I would have been a much smarter play had I made a Connecticut, had I made Nikkei Rita first. My life would have been a lot easier than making Sober Mesa first, from a money point of view. It really would have been. But I didn't do that. I wanted to spread my wings and show I can be more than a one-trick pony. And so when I thought about doing the anniversary cigar, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that again. I'm going to make something that people don't expect. It's the first national release of Ecuador Sumatran. It's got a Mexican Claro binder that I've never used. It's 4 Nicaraguan fillers, which is a lot of Nicaraguan fillers, but it's from 4 farms that I've never used their product.
Wow.
It's a medium-bodied, nuanced, smooth, beautiful, silky retrohale. It's, yeah, I mean, it's totally different. And so that's the first thing I didn't do right. So then at that point, I was kind of like, okay, the next thing that you always do with an anniversary cigar is you make it a celebratory size. You make it a big double Corona. You make it a Figurado, like a Diademas, or a big Perfecto, or a Salomon. The blend just tastes best in a 48 ring gauge, between 5 and 5/8 by 40 by 6. 5 and 5/8, 48. So I decided, you know what? This is what the blend tastes the best in, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a 5 and 5/8 by 48, because that's how it tastes the best.
Why compromise?
So at this point, I missed on the blend. I missed on the size. So the third tenet of making an anniversary cigar is to do a very elaborate, beautiful, celebratory package. And since I was already like, I missed the first two.
Go 0 for 3.
I went with a really simple, clean, easy. It's pretty, it's beautiful, but it's very understated. It really is. It's an understated, and like remember spider paper?
Yeah.
When I was in the
yeah.
80s, every like high-end box of cigars, and Fuente still uses some of this, right?
Yeah.
But like all the good stuff, it always had this in the box, right? So I went out of my way to find that. That's not easy to find anymore.
No.
It was in every box back in like 1993, 94. So it's a very low-key, understated presentation. So that's the third thing that I did wrong. And then the fourth thing I did wrong is the other thing you always do with an anniversary cigar is it's your most expensive cigar because you can.
Yeah.
I just priced it the same as everything. Whatever it cost me to make it, add 40 points gross margin. Didn't make it cheap, but it's like an $18 cigar, right?
Okay.
I mean, so I have the least celebratory anniversary release ever, and that's what it is. And I love the cigar. It'll be very interesting to see how people feel about it, but I think it's really a good. I think it's more like a testimonial than an anniversary cigar. It's kind of reflecting on where we started. This is where we began. So I'm really proud of the project. I hope people like it.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
10 years later, are you where you thought you would be?
I chose the most fucked up time to start this company. I'm going to run you through the last 10 years.
I saw this email.
You saw it? I mean,
Yeah.
just started. Then we had the crippling FDA regulation. I know here we are 9 years later, and it all seems like done and over with, but it was really ugly, okay? The amount of work we had to do and the hoops we were jumping through and the money we were spending and the uncertainty was crazy, okay? And the consumers, they all paid for it in the end, right?
Yeah,
I mean, so it's terrible. I went from crippling FDA, we went to the civil unrest in Nicaragua in 2018. You have no idea how disruptive that was. We came out of the civil unrest to then go into the global pandemic. We came out of the global pandemic to then go into 3 consecutive years of just brutal inflation, which still hasn't stopped. It seems like it's slowing down a bit. 3 years of brutal inflation that we have to deal with. And guess what? To mark the 10th year, we're going to have a tariff. So that's been the last 10 years in the cigar industry. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've been actively in the business 30 years. I've been like around the business for 4 decades. I don't think there's ever been any 10-year block that even comes close to stacking up with all of the hurdles, all the challenges. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want, give me 2-3 years of just peace where I can just make cigars. You know what I mean? Just let me be.
Enough obstacles.
Yeah, I mean, it's been and I was really starting to reflect on it, you know, because it's really been insane. And you don't think about it in those terms because you're just dealing with the fire in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got to solve this. I got this problem. I got to take care of this. But I mean, it's really been a brutal 10 years. It's been hard. I think for the big companies, I think for the little guys starting out, I don't think for the retailers, I don't think there's ever been a more challenging time in our industry than the last 10 years. So I'm hoping the next 10 years somehow become a little more peaceful because I don't know if I can do another 10 like this last 10. I really don't.
Your timing was impeccable.
Yeah, stupid, man. Should have gone into weed.
Well, you mentioned the T word. How do you think tariffs are going to be affecting the industry, especially for Nicaraguan?
I don't know because I don't even know what it's going to be. I haven't gotten online this morning. Has it changed again? I mean, I'm just here's what I know. I know that if the tariff is a 10%, if it's an 18% tariff, I'm going to have to charge more. If it's a 10% tariff, I'm going to have to charge more. We don't make the kind of money that people think we make, right? As a company, we make about a 7% net profit. Okay, so if I get if I did the math on the 18% tariff because that was what the tariff was at the moment, like about 6 days ago.
Yeah.
When I did the math, an 18% tariff for Dunbarton, actual true increase to my costs On some SKUs, it'll work out to be like 8.6%. On other SKUs, it'll work out to be like just a hair under 11. So the number, and look, this is me like doing some really quick Excel thing, not like deep diving, but I think the tariff at 18%, I think it'll cost me about 10%. Okay, so using the same basic math, if the tariff is 10%, I think it's going to cost me somewhere like around 5.5, 6 points roughly, right? I know that I can't afford to eat that. Okay, it's too much money. Okay, whenever I hear companies say, "Oh well, we're not going to raise, we're going to eat it," that just tells me they're charging too much money to begin with. Because you should not be able to absorb that kind of price increase in cost. You just can't, right? It's different on your end. You buy the product for X, you margin whatever that cost is, right? The consumer decides whether to buy it or not buy it. But it's entirely different when you're building something and you have this higher cost of goods. You know what I mean? I can't.
Yeah.
I've decided, I already wrote a letter on this because everybody's asking what you can do. I've decided, and I may be wrong, this may be a bad decision. I've decided that if the tariff happens and when I get assessed the tariff, because until I get assessed the tariff and I actually have to pay some money, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to know in about 2 weeks when the next container lands, what is my tariff? What am I paying on it? I am going to raise my wholesale prices to match whatever the actual cost increase was on the tariff, and I'm not going to margin it. Okay, we don't margin S-chip, so the 42.3 cents, that ends up added onto the price. Okay, we don't make 42.3 cents into 62 cents, and I won't do that with the tariff either. That's the only thing I can do. I can't eat it, but I also can choose not to make it a profit center. Okay, now that sadly for the consumers, their retailers are they're gonna margin it because their business is different than my business, right? They have other things. I get it. They're going to do that. It's going to be. But it's the only thing that I can do to try to keep the cost reasonable. Now, by me not margining the tariff, though, I'm setting myself up for a really bad end game. Because here's the problem. I don't make any profit on the tariff, right? I just pass it through. Let's say 8 months from now, the tariff goes away. I now have inventory in my warehouse that I paid the tariff amount on. And consumers are going to go, wow, the tariffs went away, so the price should instantly go back down. I can't put the price instantly back down until I work through most of the inventory I paid the tariff on because I didn't make any money on the tariff, right? So now it depends. If the tariff's here for 30 days and then it goes away, yeah, I'll eat that, right? But I can't eat 8 months of tariff, right? That's just not physically possible. So by me not margining the tariff, I could end up looking like, so maybe I look like a hero in the beginning, which I won't because everyone's going to complain about the prices going up regardless. But I could look like a real heel 8 months from now when the tariffs go away and all the other companies go, well, boom. Because I don't know, you guys talk to everybody. I really don't know. I don't even think we know. I think this is in such real time that I don't think we've actually sorted out how this is going to work. Right. And something that like hasn't been talked about at all, think about you're the company that has a large bonded warehouse. So the big companies, when they import goods in the United States, they don't import them, they import them to bond. So that way they then pull out a bond and that's when they pay the S-chip on it. So now what happens is when they pull out a bond is when they'll pay the tariff on that. So all these companies that have huge inventories in bond, they move things out every week, every month as they need to take care of. So they have a really big bonded warehouse that's sitting with no taxes and no extra fees on it until they actually have to pull it out. And then they have a small distribution warehouse, which they work out of. Well, last week, they got hit with, if we don't pull everything out of the bond, everything in there is going to cost 10 or 18% more instantaneously. So here I am, a big company. I got $42 million worth of products sitting over there because I'm doing the right thing. I'm building inventory. I got this way. And now you're instantly being punished. So now you got to come up with the cash, right, in 7 days' time to cover that, to move it all out of there, okay? And if you don't have the money sitting around, now you're talking to your bankers in a scramble, right, to get the money, because you can't leave it there and pay 18% more on all that stuff you got sitting there. And what do you do with it when you pull it out of the bond? It's not like you have the warehouse space for the humidification to handle all that material because you built the bonded side of your warehouse to be, and you can't just take the wall and go, well, we're going to move the bond wall over there, because anyone that's done anything with bond knows how long it is to get the approvals on a bond. It's like the most inflexible thing in the world. So there was a lot of turmoil last week that didn't affect me because I'm too small to have a bonded warehouse, okay? But man, these big companies, and I don't know, because I imagine you're talking kind of the high level people that think about this, right? So I don't even think their employees have any clue, right, about what's going on. But dude, man, if I was running STG, Drew Estate, you know, a company like Villiger, that's importing products from all different countries.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, last week must have sucked. I mean, because that's a bombshell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge, all of a sudden thing. And then it's even more topsy-turvy. And like, I don't want to get into a political conversation about tariffs, but just decide what you're gonna do. Make an announcement. Allow some reasonable. Okay, 90 days from now, 120 days. Let everybody digest it and kind of figure it out. It's this on Tuesday, it's this on Thursday. Oh, wait a minute. It's like, oh my God. Like, I get these stupid, we're making a new Saka Squatch, right? It's going to be a Saka Con, right? I mean, we've gone through 30,000 of the smoking monkey statues. So I'm like, you know what? We need another statue. So I decided I'm going to make a Saka Con, right? It's glorious. It's beautiful, right? It's even prettier than the other one.
Love it.
That thing, those right now are in a container on their way from our friends in China.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much those things are going to cost me. I have no clue whatsoever. I think right now I'm at 148% tariff. Is that where I'm at? And let me say this. If I got 148% tariff on it, you're going to have to buy $8.2 billion worth of cigars at retail for me to give you one of those for free. I mean, I don't know what to do. I have no clue.
It is cool though.
It's going to be like the most expensive tchotchke ever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. So that's how I feel about the tariffs. They're ruining my Saka Con game.
All right, Steve. Yeah. So before we run too long, I think that's a great place to wrap up. I want to thank you for your time. I want to also tell people, of course, look out for everything coming your way, Dunbarton related. Stay tuned for more content on our channel. If you haven't subscribed, do that already. You can find everything at neptunecigar.com. Steve, congratulations on 10 years, my friend.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
And looking forward to the 20th. All right, you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.